I would like to tell you about a patient of mine named Edith. She's 50 years old, and in recent years she's experienced more and more bouts of prolonged unhappiness, but has not been diagnosed with clinical depression. I've recommended she becomes more physically active. She's done little if no purposeful exercise since her teenage years, when she used to hate sport and physical education at school, finding it threatening and embarrassing. Edith is borderline obese with a BMI of 29 and has recently been diagnosed with mild hypertension. She has a family history of type 2 diabetes. I can help Edith construct an activity program with the help of an exercise professional using a person-centered approach. The first step is to discuss with Edith her past history of sport and exercise, and to help her work out which activities she might be interested in starting. However, during this discussion, we discovered she's not been involved in any sport or exercise since leaving school. Her 7-day recall of activity revealed less than 10 minutes of activity, only walking each day. She never enjoyed team games such as hockey at school. She does say she might enjoy some group activity, but at the moment she doesn't feel she has the confidence for this. She would like to think she could join a group of women with similar kinds of issues at some point in time. The second step is to weigh up the pros and cons that Edith perceives in becoming more active. Edith agrees that being more active is important for her and might help her feel more positive about herself and life in general, as well as help her lose some weight and get her blood pressure down. However, Edith doesn't feel very sporty or athletic and finds it difficult to see ways in which she can be more active, so the conversation turns to walking as a starting strategy. The next important task is short-term goal setting that can provide a sense of steady but safe improvement. Short-term goals have to have a flavour of where, when and what. They need to be specific and agreed, following the SPARK principle of being specific, measurable, agreed, realistic and time-phased. The discussion moves to time difficulties, as Edith is still holding a demanding full-time job and finding it difficult to cope. The key motivational issue then is to ensure small goals for the early weeks that are achievable but will then move her forwards. Goals that are too demanding at this point may undermine confidence and disappoint if they're not reached. It is important to emphasise that mental health or mood benefits may be experienced fairly quickly, and there will be changing in exercise capacity in a matter of a few weeks. NICE guidelines recommend using techniques that create attitude and behaviour change within healthcare interventions. Whilst no single method can be universally applied, a combination of motivational interviewing and written physical activity on prescription has been used effectively in Sweden for the past 10 years. A follow-up study there has shown a majority, 65%, are still adhering to the advice after 6 months, with partial adherence at 19% and non-adherence at 16%. This, as they point out, is as good as adherence to other treatments for chronic diseases. This is significant because even a small increase in physical activity is important both on an individual level and for public health.